red dot is going, so we are recording. All right, we are now recording, so Kelly, you can go right
Sure.
ahead and start.
Okay, so I'll be taking my glasses on and off, on just see you guys and off to read. So welcome everybody, today is Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. We are the District 2 Environmental Commission meeting to conduct a hearing on application 2W0265-2 filed by the applicant Renegade Rentals LLC. The application is seeking authorization for a project generally described as the construction of 3 seasonal cabin campsites, underground power, gravel driveway / parking areas, and access path to the adjacent cemetery. The project is located at 4769 Pikes Falls Road in Jamaica, Vermont. I am Kelly Tully. I am the chair of District 2 Commission. I am joined by my fellow commissioners, David Moulton and Julia Smith. And Vermont Open Meeting Law, in accordance with 1 VSA 312, Vermont's Open Meeting Law, I confirm that we have taken the following steps. We are providing public access to the meeting by online video conference with additional access offered through telephone. Do we have anybody on telephone? No. Okay, great. We are using Microsoft Teams platform for this hybrid. All members of the commission have the ability to communicate during this meeting, and the public has access to listen and, if desired, participate in the meeting by attending in person, downloading Microsoft Teams application, or by calling into the toll-free number provided in the meeting notice. In addition, we have provided public notice of instructions for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public the necessary information for accessing this meeting, including how to access the meeting, using telephone or Microsoft Teams, and our meeting notice. That document, including those instructions, has been provided in the meeting notice on the Act 250 database online. Some housekeeping items. This meeting is subject to Vermont Open Meeting Law. By participating, you are consenting to being audio and visually recorded, and for the recording to be published in the board's online database and or YouTube channel. Please be aware that the microphone that is used to record the hearing is extremely sensitive. It will pick up on any and record whispers and side conversations. Anything that is recorded will be published as part of the public record. Number 3, any written information or exhibits provided to the commission or Act 250 staff regarding the official state business are considered public records and will become part of the permanent record to be published in the board's online database. If you would like to speak during the hearing, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the chair. Everyone will have a chance to present their evidence and respond to the information presented. There's no need to interrupt or talk over an individual who's currently speaking. The chat function has been disabled on the Teams meeting. The hearing is being recorded, including any noises, barking dogs, personal conversations, etc. Made when your microphone is not muted. Therefore, please mute your microphone when not featured. If you're participating via online Teams and would like to speak during the hearing, please use the raise hand feature, which is located on the toolbar at the top center of your screen. If you are participating exclusively by telephone, press 6 to unmute. I don't believe we still have anybody on the phone, and speak up so we can hear you. Finally, and this is important, please do not log into Microsoft Teams meeting on your computer or other devices and participate on your phone at the same time, because that will cause some very distracting audio feedback that can greatly disrupt the hearing. The purpose of our hearing, we are charged with collecting evidence as to whether this project meets the requirements of Act 250, and based upon that evidence, decide to issue or deny the permit applied for. Attendance. Let's start the meeting by taking the roll of who is in attendance. And I will go ahead and start. My name is Kelly Kelly. As I said before, I'm the chair.
Julie Schmitz.
David Bolton. Tyler Ryan, a property owner. David Ennis, a budding property owner at 4659 Pikes Falls Road.
I'm Chris Robbins. I'm a member of the Jamaica Planning Commission and testifying for both the select board and the planning commission.
Great. Who do we have online?
Hi, I'm Yvonne Penny Basque, archaeologist for the state of Vermont.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Sabetta. I'm with the Wyndham Regional Commission.
Rebecca Nasha, and I am Tyler's wife.
Is that it? You just have 3 online?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you all. Is there anyone here in the room that is not signed in on the sign-in sheet? I think we're all set on that. Let's see. As I call your name, please raise your hand to identify yourself and your roles from the sign-in sheet. I think we already did that. Is that okay? Tech? Everybody identified themselves, so thank you. Any participants are reminded that all people requesting party status and any other person who would like to continue to receive documents associated with this proceeding must provide us with an email address or mailing address. If you haven't already done so, please email our district office and describe your interest in this proceedings and provide your full name and contact information. You can find an email address for the district office in the official notice for this hearing. Conflict of interest disclosures. The commissioners have reviewed all of the materials submitted with this application, in part with an eye towards identifying any conflict of interest that a commissioner might have. We are not aware of any conflicts of interest that need to be disclosed at this time. Ex parte communications outside of today's meeting proceedings. May I remind everyone that all communications, whether by letter, email, telephone, or in person, must flow through the district coordinator, Quinn Mann, and not through other parties or commission members. The overview of the hearing process. The commission's charge is to collect evidence as to whether this project meets the requirements of Act 250, and based upon that evidence, decide to issue or deny the permit applied for. You may want to participate in these proceedings as a party. Party status is important for at least 2 reasons. First, the party may introduce evidence, bring in experts or other witnesses to testify, and take part in arguments. Second, you may be unhappy with our ultimate decision. Only a party may appeal our decision to the environmental court. The applicant will present the project in brief. Then the commission will consider the request from individuals or organized groups seeking party status or other participant rights and determine under which criteria they may be preliminary admitted. Parties will have an opportunity to testify in order to introduce evidence they would like entered into the record. When you speak, please state your name for the record. Does anyone have any questions so far at this point? I am now going to ask anyone who thinks they might address the commission during this hearing to swear or affirm that they will tell the truth accordingly, and anyone who expects to address us, please raise your right hands. If anybody is online raising their hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence that you shall provide relative to the consideration of this application shall be truthful, accurate, and complete under the pains and penalties of perjury? If so, answer I do.
I do.
So online folks, if you could just turn your cameras on, then we can see that you're doing it.
I do.
Thank you. Okay. I would like to ask for any party status request, and we'll provide any further explanation of party status, but everybody here has party status. Do we need to?
No, so the party status hasn't been determined yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I skip a line. Thank you. Thank you. Teamwork. Applicant provides an overview of the project. The applicant will now give us a brief overview of the project. After that, we will consider petitions from any individuals or organized groups seeking party status. So, you're on.
Yes, thank you. I'm Tyler Wren, the applicants. Good morning and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I just wanted to begin, thank you guys too for being here. To begin by saying that I understand and respect the town's deep appreciation for Pikes Falls. It's a very special place, not just for swimming and scenery, but it's part of the town identity and lots of people's memories here. So I share that respect, and I want to be clear that nothing I'm proposing is intended to diminish the falls or its enjoyment whatsoever. So quick history of the property. For myself, I purchased it in 2022, and my original intention was to build a single family home with an accessory dwelling. And as we got into that process, with the, we learned about the Act 250 buffer requirement, is 50-foot buffer on the southern portion of the property. So we had to reduce it down to just a single family home. And we got the wastewater permits and everything rolling on that. And part of the Act 250 process, when we kicked it over to the Agency of Natural Resources, we discovered that there was a wetlands that had a buffer area that encroached on part of my property, which made the single family home plan not feasible. So we pivoted, and because there didn't seem to be enough room for the well and isolation shield and septic and home, we pivoted to this new project of having 3 campsites, so 3 cabins that with a portable restroom to serve them, and no running water, no well. And so I did my due diligence with the wastewater rules, et cetera, and this is in conformance with those. So my goal is to make a productive, lawful use of my property in a way that's safe and environmentally responsible, consistent with Vermont's Act 250 rules and other rules in the Jamaica Town Plan, as it's applied under Act 250 as well. So I hope that the record will show here, and I believe it will, that my proposal meets those standards. And we can talk about concerns about contamination and neighborhood impact as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge that I can see that Pikes Falls faces real challenges with the parking and the trash, the popularity of the falls. That's outside of my projects, but it still affects the community, and I remain open to being a part of the solutions to that, including the possibility of a private or municipal purchase of the land if someone wants to see it preserved entirely or used by the town for the falls. So such an approach could serve everyone's interests or help in those longstanding issues. But in the meantime, my application, I think, reflects the legal requirements and my personal commitments of protecting this area. So look forward to discussing the details. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Would like to now ask any party status requests that will provide further explanation of party status. Party status is decided on an issue by issue basis. When your turn comes, please identify yourself where your property is located and identify each Act 250 criterion under which you believe the project will adversely affect you or your property. Then explain how you think the project will have specific impacts on you or the property or your property under each of those specific criteria. Please focus on your particular interests under each criterion. So you are requesting party status. General policy concerns that may be shared with the general public are not a sufficient basis for an individual party status. The commission will make party status determinations on a preliminary basis so we can organize the hearing. Sometimes after we hear all of the testimony, we determine that while it appears at first someone should have party status under a specific Act 250 criterion, ultimately they did not prove or document under an impacts under that criterion. We will make final party status determinations when we issue a final decision. There are 3 major categories through which a person may participate in Act 250 proceedings. Certain persons or entities have a statutory right to participate as a party. We refer to these persons as statutory parties. Statutory parties include the state of Vermont and all of its agencies, town select board members, municipal planning commissioners, and regional planning commissioners are parties by right. Number two, any person who may also be admitted as a party if they can show a particular interest unique to them that might be affected by the project and demonstrate that their interest is related to any of the Act 250 criteria. Number three, even if you do not qualify as a party to this proceedings, the commission may allow you to participate as a friend of the commission if you are able to offer the commission certain information that might not otherwise be available to us. Please note that no one is required to seek party status or friend of the commission status. Some neighbors simply want to listen and become more informed about a project. Those folks are welcome in the hearing room. Please raise your hand if you want to request party status. And so we will start with David.
Yeah.
Ennis. And please state your name, affiliation, and what criteria you are seeking party status.
Yeah, so David Ennis, address is 4659 Pikes Falls Road. I'm the owner of the abutting property by way of a vacant lot that we have preserved as a vacant lot to be grown back in around the wetlands themselves, as well as a stationary full-time residence on the lot next door. The criteria as sent through the documentation would be 1B, 1C, 1G, criteria 2, 4, 5, 8, and 9, ACDG, HJ, K, L. And I'm happy to read a statement or go through each criteria and it stands, whatever you guys would like.
Each one individual.
Is that okay?
And just for context, the purpose of this point in the hearing is not to present all the evidence that you want to present under each of those criteria. It's to present how you individually or your property individually might be impacted under those criteria. So a general statement, and so that will inform the commission party status determination.
My concerns, basically.
But they should be particular to you
Yep.
or your property.
Yep, absolutely. I've got it. So I'll go through each of them. Start off by saying thank you to everybody for making time in your day to do this. Special thanks to Tyler, by the way. There's a lot of people that could have gone through this process without a level of respect that he has showed us and the surrounding property owners. Overall, I think I have a better understanding of the project as which he's trying to move forward here, some of the potential outcomes. And, as much as we have differing opinions, I've enjoyed our conversations and getting to know a little bit more about both pieces of land. So appreciate that.
Likewise, thank you.
All right, thanks. So criteria 1 is the waste disposal overall. It's essentially going to be an unsupervised campsite and it's going to result in probably liquor too. But litter overall and unchecked human waste. While there's designed to be a porta potty or a temporary waste disposal unit for human waste, there's really no way of guaranteeing people are going to use that. As it stands now, there is no bathroom facilities at the falls itself. People urinate in the woods. They probably do other things in the woods. Overall, I don't see how this is going to benefit the overall falls experience or that of the wetlands by making it so that people don't do that. As far as a stationary trash receptacle goes, at my house, as I'm sure all of you do in Vermont, I keep my garbage and my waste behind a locked steel door. There are bears that are bedded down on that land. There are other animals, raccoons.
So sorry, I am just right. Again, you're not looking to present all the evidence
Just-
that you want to present. It should be statements specific to how it will impact you and your property. So if you could try to focus your statement, we want to hear all of that later, but we're just trying to get through this first part to organize. the
Okay. Criteria 1, waste disposal and potential contamination.
Under litter and human waste, you said, right?
Human waste, yep, as well as trash, litter,
So do you want to make a statement specific to you and your property?
Yeah, I mean, there's wind, right? Litter ends up on my property.
So, and I don't mean to be ridiculous here, this is the kind of, if you're not explicit about this, the commission can't make those types of assumptions, like say the obvious thing so they know what to go off of. Because again, they're not meant to make assumptions, they're meant to say, you made this statement of how it will impact you or your property. So say the obvious thing, I'm not trying to be
Okay.
annoying.
An unmonitored campsite will result in unchecked waste ending up on my property, contaminating my property as well as the properties around.
Excellent, thank you. You can move on to your next section.
Thank you.
Criteria 1C, as it affects the wetlands, would be the same.
1C is water conservation.
Yeah, water conservation. So in the wetlands overall, are we talking about contamination or are we talking about depletion of the water table?
So I can read what this criteria requires, if that is helpful. So this criterion requires that the project design has considered water conservation, incorporates uses for recycling where technically and economically practical. So this is specific about the project's water usage.
Seeing as the new project has no water usage, I would retract that consent.
And the next one is
Criteria 1G,
that one.
and could we have the concern just so I can address it appropriately? Or the criteria statement?
Yeah, hold on with me.
Thank you.
So, this criterion requires that the project will not violate the rules of the board as adopted under this chapter relating to significant wetlands. So, I will generally, it's, there's some deference to the rule that, the Agency of Natural Resources has that dictates when you need to get wetland permits and that sort of thing.
Okay, the wetland permits have been obtained, although the increased foot traffic in the area due to the development will put the pristine wetlands and the falls at risk.
This will be the last time I will do this, and then I will let you just go forward how you want. Do you want to make a statement that how that charge impacts you or your property?
The wetlands reside on my property. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm getting it now. I
you know,
appreciate it.
we're building a record.
Yeah.
100% got it. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Next criteria.
Criteria 2, water supply.
So I'll read this for you, if that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
This criterion requires that the project has sufficient water to meet its unreasonably foreseeable needs. This criterion focuses on a reasonable level, or so there's enough water to meet the needs of what's being proposed.
I will rescind based on the new criteria of the development, as there would be no water need. The next one would be criteria 4, erosion. So I think that one's pretty clear. The clearing of the land will result in erosion and silt in the waterways, which will lead to blockages and flooding in my culverts that are dug out every single year already. We anticipate that any land there will cause erosion that will also impact the falls themselves. Criteria 5A, traffic. The traffic and the parking in the area is already chaotic. This will push more cars into the area, will make my land have cars on it. My land will have cars outside on the roadway in front of it. It's a blind curve coming around from both angles. It's dangerous for humans, pedestrians, animals alike. I already have people parking illegally in my field, which is on one of my properties, and I assume this will cause more people to do that as their current parking situation will be depleted. Criteria 8, historic sites. This property is home to a historic Seventh-day Adventist cemetery. The development would limit the access and disturb the sacred grounds of our settlers and our community. As was news to me today, that cemetery is still active and in use. And I do not see a proper plan put in place to allow access freely to people to visit the cemetery and to bury their dead in the cemetery.
And how's that impact your property?
Well, the new road would have to put in to directly abut my property, which would likely involve clearing land, would bring in erosion, would have potential contamination onto my property with through traffic.
The criterion 8. Aesthetics.
What was that?
That's more aesthetic.
Under criterion 8.
Oh, aesthetics.
The criterion we're on right now.
No, he didn't feel it himself is.
8A, historic sites.
Okay. So it's just 8A. I don't.
I have B and C as well, but I would need the definitions rewritten again.
So historic sites. How does that
You have
impact
to do
your
a
property?
property.
I mean, it impacts everyone, right? There's development going around a historic site. It impacts the entire neighborhood. It impacts me because there's going to be more traffic visible from my backyard. I think that it's disturbing a sacred burial place.
So sorry, I'll just, before you move on, so as Julie noted, criterion 8 covers quite a few things. One of them is historic sites. Aesthetics is also kind of a separate category under that. So before we move on to 8A, did you have a case under aesthetics?
The aesthetics with the historic site, if we build on that property, there's less room for people to park their car to visit. They'll be parked on the road, probably in front of my house, probably impacting the land that abuts my property overall and my property directly. Criteria 9 would be final, and it's all encompassing. Not only my 2 parcels, but the entire area is a delicate ecosystem that would be impacted by any development. My property and the ecosystem on my property, the watershed that comes from the surrounding lots would be impacted. The flora and fauna in the wetlands that are on my lot would be impacted by any.
So it's on 8. Or how many lines?
That was 9.
So,
So number,
I know you're good. 8A is, wildlife, and so is that the case?
Yeah, development would push more wildlife onto my lot.
Yeah, so sorry, because so 9, there's a lot of different ones. So I just want to make sure you're presenting, and again, based on what you have provided in writing. So, there's not just a 9, I would use 9A or something. like
Yeah,
that.
A, C, D, G.
Yeah. So it sounds, what you just said sounds like it has to do with like wildlife and that sort of thing. That would be under 8A. So is
Okay.
that the argument you just want to,
I thought 8A was historic sites.
no, so 8, again, 8 is both aesthetics and historic sites. 8A is the wildlife. So, yeah.
Okay, there would be a displacement of wildlife by the development around the historic site onto my property.
now move to 9A. 9A
So 9A, if I can get
is
the titles.
impacted growth.
Yeah, so impacted growth. So this is, the impact to growth as far as, economic impacts is typically what is considered under this, criterion. So economic and population growth, sorry.
Yeah, so I would rescind anything having to do with economics. Obviously, there's a positive economic impact from a short-term rental overall. However, the negative impact due to increased population as it produces waste and debris onto my property by having development on an abutting piece of property. Not only mine, but also to our historic sites, as well as the waterfall.
9C is productive forest soils.
Any development is going to deplete the forest soils overall. Any of that runoff will directly impact my property.
But we'll just note this criteria is specific to commercial forestry areas that have potential to be commercially forested.
Well, I'm sure good.
And how does that impact you in your property?
Aesthetically, I don't want it forested around so that I'd be able to see everything. We can rescind that one if you want.
Okay,
Yeah.
I really am
That's
just trying
fine.
to.
No, I get it. Yeah.
That's really the commercially forest, it has to be 25 acres or more.
Rescinded.
Okay, thank you.
9B.
I didn't
Even if-
file it.
90 is protection of earth resources. Let me just read the rest of them. Just so.
We'll let him respond to.
All right,
Yeah, development depletes the Earth's resources. Those resources will have to be taken from somewhere else, and probably my abutting property will have to provide those resources.
Yeah, Kelly, you can read the explanation up there if you're looking at the list.
you want, yeah, right now.
Underneath D, yeah.
Yeah, and where the land has a high potential for extraction of mineral or earth resources before the commission may issue a permit, it must find that the proposed use will not prevent or significantly interfere with the possibility of future extraction of mineral or earth resources.
Rescind.
Nine G, private utilities. That's not on your list, I didn't.
9G is on my list. So there is an easement that goes across both parcels for public utility. It would have to be moved. It would impact my piece of land.
The criteria is for private utilities that are owned and maintained by, more than one individual. So if there was like a road like that, an HOA maintained or something like that, you're speaking to an easement.
Yeah, okay, rescind.
The 9 side of the easy.
I'm not a lawyer. And I apologize. I don't mean to waste anybody's time.
No, this is all, it's all, it's a learning process for everybody. So 9H, that was on your list?
Yep.
Cost of scattered development?
So I can read, this criterion requires that the additional cost of public services and facilities caused directly or indirectly by the proposed development do not outweigh the tax revenue and public benefits of the development. So it's about the resources, that the town would have to give, and then how much tax revenue from that.
So I'm concerned overall that with the movement of the road that goes back to the cemetery, that would be a public cost that would be distributed amongst the population. And I'd like to see a plan for that.
That's going to come under 9K.
Okay. We saw that someone repaved the road with gravel this year. I had no idea, wasn't the private landowner. We don't know where that came from. And obviously I pay taxes in Jamaica.
9J, was that on your list?
Yep.
Okay, public utilities. The criteria requires that necessary supportive governmental and public utility facilities and services are available or will be available when the development is complete. Utilities include electric services, municipal water or sewer, service, solid waste, recycling. That's
The electric utilities cross both properties. The electric utility that services the entirety of Pikes Falls Road crosses both properties.
that concerns you because of the,
If it has to be moved, when does it move? Does it move in the winter? I have electric heat in my house. Do my pipes freeze?
So you're worried, sorry, just to understand if it's okay.
yeah.
That this development will impact the ability to get electricity to other homes.
I mean, any movement in the public power supply is going to impact that power supply overall. I haven't seen any plans to tell me what's going to happen with the power supply that crosses the properties.
Nine K, is that on your list as well?
It is.
And that is public investment. It's a Pikes Falls Road, is a class 2 town highway. Highways are considered a public investment.
Yeah, so I'll repeat what I said before about the movement of what I believe is a public road, public access road or public access easement road to the cemetery. Where's the funding for that movement?
Criteria 9L, settlement patterns. This criteria pertains to projects that qualify as strip development. This project does not propose strip development.
Rescind.
We just scheduled probably.
What's that?
We just scheduled.
Right. Well, he doesn't need that.
But he might raise other concerns, other criteria that we want to make sure we include.
Right. So as far as our next step is to,
Yeah, so maybe we just, we don't have to hear from party status from the party side, right, which would include Chris, Yvonne, and Alyssa, so I don't think we have to hear anything from them.
I just heard you were saying here.
Yeah.
The town, instead of, because
Yeah.
yeah, 10 and 8 is online, but.
Yvonne, thanks for raising your hand. I think, we have, Chris with the planning commission in the room, so we're just gonna start with him and then I'll move to you if that works. Okay, thank you.
so we're now gonna ask, so you already have party status. And you're gonna share with us your concerns.
Yes, I have, written testimony that I'll read and I would like to submit if it's appropriate and everything.
So can, just for right now, because we're gonna get into the meat of the criteria later, can you just speak to which, will you be looking just to talk about criterion 10, compliance with town plans, or are there other criteria that you're gonna be, speaking to in your testimony?
Okay, well, that's what I've done. The Jamaica Select Board and Planning Commission believe that the Act 250 draft permit 2W0265-2 does not comply with criteria 10 of the expanded review criteria for Act 250 permit, and that it is not in conformance with the Jamaica Town Plan as amended and adopted on January 10th, 2022. The plan may be found on the Town of Jamaica website under the Government Planning Commission.
Excuse me, Chris, that's good for what we want right now. And then we'll come back to you later. That's all we need right this minute. Honest.
You don't care why?
We do, but
We do,
not
but
right this
we want
minute.
that later.
This is like the organizational part, where they're gonna organize which criteria, and then they'll take them in order. So now we're just like, these are compiled, which ones we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you from the town, you can talk about 10, but you also can talk about other criteria if you wanted to. So that's what we're just trying to find out. You will not miss your opportunity.
Yeah, the commission's not taking evidence right now, they're just trying to gather which criteria folks are interested in.
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you, we will have you send us.
Now they go to online folks. Are you done? I'm sorry, are you finished for now? Are there any other criteria other than 10 that we want to put on your list? Thank you. Is there anyone online?
Your hand raised.
Yvonne, have her hand raised?
Yeah, so Yvonne, we maybe just wanted to start, and speak to.
Sure, I
Okay.
just, mostly I just wanted to attend because I understood that there was some concerns with historic resources. So I don't really have anything to testify to. We did write a comment letter last year, with our opinions on the project. So, but I did want to make sure I was here in case there was something that I could help out with or address with any of the people that were attending. So primarily why I'm here.
Thank you.
Take a little,
And Alyssa, I don't,
Yeah. I mean, I'm just here. Honestly, I don't even know if the project review committee will want to comment on this. There hasn't been a determination of regional significance or even discussion about this project yet. So I'm here to gather information to bring to our September meeting, which will take place September 2nd. So I would expect if we will that I will be commenting soon after that. I don't know if it'll be substantive or not, but it would be under criterion 10. And also here, just in consideration of the town's position, and wanted to be able to bring that back to the committee. So that's it.
thank you. Thank you. Okay. We take a little recess to discuss.
I feel, a deliberative session is probably warranted.
Yes.
Yep. So we will do a little bit of housekeeping on the online. Stephanie, were you able to bring up that PDF?
Yes.
Wow.
If I'm gonna share it, right?
Okay, share it, yep. Yep, right there. And so the second thing you're gonna do is just turn the mic off and the camera.
I say it, we're
That's
back.
it? We're back? Are we online?
I think you're good,
Okay, we're good.
but I just heard it.
We should be good.
When are we ready to go online? Thank you very much for waiting. So as far as David, approving of your preliminary party status under 1B, 1G, 4, 5A, 8, and 9K. So we're denying party status, preliminary party status for you on 8A, 9A, 9G, 9H, and 9J.
Understood.
So, reviewing of the, contested criteria, the commission intends to narrow the scope of today's hearing to the list that I just, gave for David, plus 10. Any questions? Today we did a site visit. For the record, the commission visited the site earlier today, where we reviewed the site plan and walked around the property. And observed the landscape, the surroundings, the falls, buffer zones, the cemetery, property lines. Have you got anything else that we saw?
Well, I think we should be clear, we saw the open field, we saw where the wetland is,
Something false.
we saw Pike Falls, and we saw the access road, the existing access road to the cemetery.
We need to discuss any other
No, just
parts of the
kind of, yeah, to some folks were not to site visits, so just to kind of, put that on the record. Noted.
Okay, so we're gonna go with, the applicant. And we're going to, present the case under each criterion that we want to discuss. And we'll do it one at a time, because we do have, if there's any comments or questions after that, we will do it, but we'll be able to get through that.
Can we do the definition of each criteria as we move through them?
Yeah.
To remind everyone. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna start with, criteria 1B, waste disposal. It requires, okay, the criteria 1B requires the development or subdivision will meet any applicable health and environmental conservation department regulations regarding the disposal of waste and will not involve the injection of waste material or any harmful or toxic substances into the groundwater or wells. That's 10 VSA 6086A1B.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, just for clarification, just continue to read all that before we start discussion.
No, they're just notes for you and, just reminder, start with the applicant and then.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Chris, you're on.
So you like me to respond first?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I guess the, trash, the solid waste, we can talk about that. That's in the criterion? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in my application, it notes that Casella Waste, can provide the trash services and they do have bear-proof, trash containers, which is, prudent for this area. So that is the plan for the solid waste. It's serviced weekly. And it can be serviced more frequently than that if needed. But that was their recommendation for the bear population and the, scope of the project, with the, 2.5 yard dumpsters, one trash, one recycling with bear-proof, lids. And then for the wastewater, the porta potty system, so in the state of Vermont, so Best Septic, which is the septic, the porta potty right outside here, the more permanent porta potty they have right here in town, we passed, you notice that? It's the same provider that provided me a quote for this. And they're an approved, porta potty provider in the state of Vermont, which means that they have to meet certain standards of their porta potty. It won't leak. It's serviced at least once per week. So they are a state certified porta potty provider, and that's the plan for that. Is there anything else I should speak to in this criterion? Anything I'm leaving out? There's a bunch of
I
stuff.
have a question on that.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned that septic would have, porta potty service once a week. My understanding that your application is year round, so, is that septic able to, provide a unit for winter service as well? And can you explain, what they would do in that situation?
Yeah, I did discuss this with them. It's pretty standard for porta potty companies in Vermont to have services in the wintertime. I'm not exactly sure their method, but they do regularly provide that. Something about the blue liquid has a lower freezing temperature than water, and so they're able to do that.
And do they have a schedule year round, as far as, you said weekly for, Casella, but how frequent is?
Yeah, weekly service from that.
Both?
Yeah. And that can be up to more frequent service if needed, but again, that's what they thought was appropriate and in line with the state rules for this size of development. It was once a week.
And does that have to be secured like the proof trash?
I don't believe so, but I can certainly put a lock on the door if needed, if that's an issue. I don't have a specific plan for that, but that's something that I could address if that's a problem. I've never heard of a bear getting into a porta potty. Certainly possible, but that's not it's not a sort of a thing that I need a plan for at this point, because it's not a regular problem that I'm aware of. There's a lot of stuff in this criterion about the stormwater and construction permits. Should I speak to all of that, or?
So Commissioner, correct me if you want to handle this differently, but that also comes up under soil erosion, so we can maybe talk about it. Right?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know if it's relevant or not, but given that we're talking about waste and the more that the sites are used, more waste that will be created. I'm concerned about how do you plan on, how does somebody book the site? And given I've only heard that maybe it's non-supervised, but how do you then check in and check out? Someone that made a mess in the building or left a mess behind. How does that happen? And how often do you think the site's going to get used?
So unsupervised was David's language. I never said that in my application because it will be supervised. I'll have cleaners and property manager to help me run the property. And so I run Airbnb or short-term rentals up in northern Vermont. So I have experience with this. To answer your question, they can book it on Airbnb or VRBO or other short-term rental platforms like that. And then they'll get a special door code, and I'll have a cleaning service coming in to flip between guests. So there'll be people on the property, landscaping, plowing, etc. So there'll be people on the property very frequently, keeping an eye on things.
Thank you. That's helpful. Thank you.
And that also, I'll just, one more note there, that provides a good feedback loop too, that, it's based on a rating system. So you need to provide clean, good services for the guests. Otherwise we get bad ratings and the whole thing won't be viable. So there's a positive feedback loop built in with that as well. And
It's an incentive for you to keep it clean, they get better ratings.
exactly. And I would task my cleaners with making sure that the dumpsters haven't been infiltrated by bears, etc. So.
David mentioned that. David, you can put that now on that same topic.
Yeah, so love to do. We went through and everything like that. I guess I have a couple questions overall. So we're talking about putting a dumpster and a porta potty at the basis of a town forest and a national forest, right? Both aesthetically, I find that disturbing, as well as I find it unrealistic that they wouldn't be disturbed overall and we continue to see contamination. How do we keep the public? You mentioned it for a second, putting a lock on it, but how do you keep the public from using the porta potty? How do you keep some rowdy kids from pushing it over, getting the blue stuff all over the place? We've never seen a bear break into a porta potty. I can probably find a YouTube video. But how do we keep a bear from pushing it over, from raccoons, from rats that are going to come overall, right? I just don't know, and this probably falls under number 10, that we should be having open container waste disposal at a site of pristine beauty overall. So I'd love to see specifics around how that's going to be contained. Is it just a blue porta potty there? Is there a fence around it? Anything like that? As far as the usage of the porta potty, if there's 3 individual units that can hold 2 people each and they're full every single night, which if I was a business owner, I'd want it to be full every night. I want, no vacancies, anything like that. How much waste is that being produced a week? It sounds like you have a basic idea from Casella or from Best Porta Potty, whatever it is. How fast can they get here to turn those over overall? And then in the winter, I do have those concerns as well. Who is the plow company? Who is the cleaning service? Are these reputable? How are we going to plow that to get to those porta potties, to get that out of there? We have a really big problem in Vermont right now. My plow guy, who I've had for 2 years, just closed down shop, Lancaster. I cannot find another plow guy. I'm going to end up doing it myself. I really want to be guaranteed beforehand that the accessibility is going to be there.
And
Any waste, solid or liquid, and
I'm
contamination.
just trying to bring it back to.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
talking about your property.
I have an abutting property,
Yeah.
right? Depending on where these facilities are, it is going to leach onto my property. Absolutely. I will be impacted by contaminants, by smells, by anything that is on my abutting property, as well as the town owning the property next door.
Got it. Any questions you guys on it? Okay,
Can I respond to that? Or,
Do we need to respond?
do we just go back and respond? Sure.
It's your time.
Yep.
yeah, so I would just say, I understand David's concern. And I want to point out that he's already protected, by the law. So, it would be a violation of the law if the porta potty was turned over, if there was leakage of environmental protection rules. So if someone from the street came onto my property and did that, that would be a violation of the law, and we would deal with that. So I certainly don't want that to happen. And litter laws as well. So you do have that protection of it's against the law for that stuff to happen.
I have a question relevant to that. Well, obviously you're bringing electric into the site. Would you bring Wi-Fi as well?
I would.
Have you any plans in your, planning to maybe put up a site camera or anything?
That would be prudent. Yeah. That would be prudent, especially since David is telling me that a lot of people trespass already. So I think that's a very good idea.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to 1G.
Maybe just check in if any of the other.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, thank you.
But I expect not. But just check.
Any hands up over there? Anybody on Teams have any questions or input on 1B? No? Okay, to move on to 1G.
Does the select board represent the town talking about contamination on town property that abuts this land?
Yes,
Yeah, they're talking about it.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
just to state those concerns again, because that's the other abutting property is public land.
Yeah, Chris, did you want to speak to the waste disposal?
Okay. This is criteria 10.
No, we're just discussing the waste. We're doing one B, which is the waste disposal.
Well, I think 2 entries in the town plan address, protecting the Pikes Falls, doing the hole and being a designated scenic area. And of specific concern is contamination from the porta potty should still leakage occur. I have more to say about that under criteria 10.
We're working up to that. We're doing 1,
Well, this is,
and then we're gonna get to 10.
I guess, redundant.
But you're welcome to give feedback on the ones we are discussing as well.
Well, okay.
There is a lot of redundancy.
Yes. Okay, 1G, wetlands. Criteria 1G requires the project will not violate the rules of the board as adopted under this chapter relating to significant wetlands, 10 VSA 6086A1G. The project does not propose disturbance to wetlands or wetland buffers. I'm done. Okay, great. Thank you. Your turn.
Okay, just
Tyler.
talking here. So this is 1G.
1G wetlands.
Yeah, so, as I mentioned in my, introduction, we, discovered that there's, wetlands on David's property with a buffer that extends onto my property. So Rebecca Chalmers, that's, DEC or A&R, the wetlands ecologist, and she made it clear that, she did not want any developments in the wetlands buffer. So she denied my ability to apply for a wetland permit. So all of the development that's proposed is outside of the wetlands and outside of the wetlands buffer. So, and in addition to that, Rebecca requested that we post signage on my property showing where the wetlands buffer delineation is to make sure nobody goes over there. And so we're proactively trying to address this concern of any, so there's no activity in the wetland whatsoever for the buffer.
And that would include plowed snow,
That's right.
so that we're clear, no mowing, no plowing snow.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I understand that, and that is part of the plan, that the road I showed you and the proposed road I showed you, all that is outside of the wetlands buffer.
The entirety of the wetlands reside on my property. I have a hard time believing that a developed site with multiple people, transient people next door wouldn't impact that site. It's a heavily wooded area that leads into the wetlands as well. It'd be very difficult for someone who is not a steward of the land, so to speak, or someone who's not familiar with the land to know where that boundary and buffer is. I appreciate you putting in signs and everything like that. I think realistically, that's not going to keep anybody out. I do appreciate you having the guy come around and put in the tags all around it and everything like that. That's great. I would love to see a specific survey of the land to make sure we know where things are. I mean, in actuality, I'm gonna have to put fence in, right? It's probably split rail fence, something like that, but that impacts me because in order to keep people off, that's something I'll probably have to do.
So there's not already documentation where exactly the wetlands are? Is that what you're saying, David?
So we have documentation from the initial non-geologic survey, can we put it that way? The survey lines were off on that. It shows it on both properties. It's incorrect, I believe. I believe it to be incorrect. I believe that the entirety of the wetlands is on my property.
But something, just a question of someone, a qualified engineer came and determined the delineation of the wetland area and then also mark the buffer. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I can speak to that. So yeah, I hired a qualified wetlands engineer that was on the list, that communicated with Rebecca Chalmers at A&R DEC. And they agreed on the delineation that he provided. He marked the site, and also provided, a map. But the question that Dave and I have is the wetlands map is certainly accurate, but the property lines on there are likely not.
Right, and I guess the only reason I bring that up, David, was just to show that, so we know for sure where the wetlands are.
Yes.
We can't determine exactly where the property line is.
No dispute about the wetland territory, absolutely.
Exactly, yeah. So I would use his guidance or, in placing the signage to delineate the buffer area.
And David, your main concern is that the boundary won't be observed and that people will not follow the signage and.
Yeah, I mean,
You'd like to see, more than just signs.
I mean, well, I don't want anybody else putting a fence up or anything like, obviously, we want to maintain the beauty that we have all around us. So that's probably number 10. So my main concern is foot traffic and watershed, right? Contamination from a porta potty. I want to be perfectly clear, guys, like, I don't have a problem with a single family house. I really don't. It's an underground contained facility. I have a huge problem with temporary waste facilities.
Yeah.
It's risk. It's all risk.
Mhm.
But I understand the property lines make it very difficult to design an abode for that area.
Can I reply to that? I just want to say that I think most of the concerns that have been brought up are, I understand David's perspective, but I think the concerns are speculative. And what we have are for this criterion are the wetlands rules, which are very clear and are being followed in this plan. So
Fair.
yeah,
Absolutely. Fair.
So, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, ladies.
Is the survey in question?
there was no survey done of the property lines. And he's agreeing that the wetlands mapping or delineation, he doesn't have any objection to that, which he
Totally agree. Those wetlands are where they are on the map. Yeah.
so he just overlaid it on like property lines that don't seem accurate.
Okay,
So, but the wetlands
so
delineation,
here's my question
yeah,
for the two of you. If we decide to issue a permit and we say that the wetlands buffer needs to be stayed, is there going to be a problem with that? In other words, are you going to say that's on my property and you're going to say I'm going to stay there?
Oh, no, you can put a stake on my property. I don't mind. I'm not developing. That's fine. They already went around and put tags on the trees that happened to be on my property. I told Todd this morning, I have no problem with that. I'm happy that they did it. I'm all about protecting.
yeah. And David showed me the pins from a previous survey of the lot lines. So I think that we generally agree on the property lines. Yeah.
So I have a question, it's kind of backing up a little bit, and maybe address some of the concern. You did a perk test before the wetlands were delineated, and that perk test passed?
Yes, I got 2 wastewater permits.
Okay.
Prior to all this.
So, and I do remember looking at that, yeah. If you were to, install the porta potty site and preset, say, you excavated down 2 feet within a section of crushed rock, aligned it with some sort of, 6x6 border, and said, okay, here's where the porta potty goes. Should it ever get disturbed or tipped over, now you have what some people would call a wet well, or a place for that material to seep into the ground and not flow away. I mean, obviously you'll still have some paper waste and things like that need to be cleaned up, but and I'm just throwing it out there because it might be a possible option for you to alleviate concerns.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea if this speculative concern proves to be a real concern as a solution to that violation of law of blue liquid seeping out of the ground. But again, there's no reason for that at this time, given the fact that it's a licensed porta potty company, et cetera. But that's a good idea to keep in mind for the future if that concern becomes real.
Okay.
It absolutely is a speculative concern. I've never been to an outdoor concert where there wasn't a leaky porta potty.
Chris, do you have any comments on that? Is there anyone online that has any questions, comments, concerns? I see no hands. Any other questions before we move on to 4, erosion. Criteria for erosion requires that the project will not cause unreasonable soil erosion or reduction in the capacity of the land to hold water so that a dangerous or unhealthy condition may result. 10 VSA 6086A4, in evaluating the project under criteria 4, it is appropriate to review the impacts of construction as well as long-term impacts of the project. Tyler.
So the terrain is a gentle terrain, which means less than 8% slope. We saw that today, not too hilly. So that is part of this criterion, so that's why I mentioned it. The plan would be for excavation, for the new driveway, for the underground power, et cetera, to be done at the same time. And the, I would bear the cost of that, new driveway, by the way.
Okay.
So that there's no easement that we could find from the town. It's just, you know, a favor that I continue to do for them, so I'll continue to do that. But in terms of the erosion, so we promised to minimize disturbance during construction and install silt fencing around the disturbed area during construction. And then seed and mulch within 7 days of completing excavation.
Could you speak this way just so I can hear you better?
Yep.
Thank you.
So we promised to minimize disturbance during construction, install silt fencing around the disturbed area during construction, and then seed and mulch within 7 days of excavation, and a stone lined driveway ditch where intersecting Pikes Falls Road. There would be weekly inspections by the general contractor to make sure those erosion controls are being adhered to. Yeah, so we are, I do hear David's concern about erosion, but these measures, according to my engineer, were sufficient to address the level of excavation or level of disturbance that this project would create. With those, you know, those plans in place should not affect David as he fears.
So you do have a erosion plan with the excavator?
Yeah, it's in my application. I was just basically reading that.
Excuse me, but I didn't see an erosion.
Well, just, I mean, there's no, I'm not sure what erosion plan means, but I just, yeah.
Erosion plan is a plan that shows where you're excavating, where the silt fence will be, where you
Okay.
stockpile dirt, that sort.
Right, I would just answer the questions in the Act 250, in that criterion 4. And so I believe that's sufficient, or my engineer also believe that's sufficient for this project.
Yeah, question, David? Correct?
Can I just check one thing, it might be relevant under this criteria, for a few different reasons that Tyler would you speak to the replanting plan that's proposed?
Sure.
For the development?
Yeah, so the 50-foot buffer on the southern portion of the property, that road has been in the buffer for, like David said, at least 10 years, well before I had the property. And so part of when we install the new driveway, we need to replant the existing buffer to help reclaim it to nature. So that's a part of the project as well. And there is a replanting plan that's a part of the application.
Let me see that.
The driveway construction, and extension to the, cemetery. Can you explain what that, is that gonna be crushed gravel, is it gonna be, filter fabric, is there a plan for that?
Yeah, so it would be, I'm not I don't know exactly, the contractor, when we discussed it, would be the filter fabric, and then the same material that was there, today, which is crushed gravel or, yeah,
Thank you.
yes. Not paved.
Sure.
I said, I didn't know if it looked like Surepack.
Right, they map, yeah.
David,
Yeah, so the grade of the land as it stands, any new development as well as the current driveway coming out of that land is going to lead to erosion coming towards the street. Driving south on Heights Falls Road, that side of the road, the culverts and the existing cliff already have significant erosion problems. Any sort of water coming down from there is going to continue to impact that. If you go to the town, you can talk to them, you have to dig up those culverts every single year. I'm not sure if this will impact it and make it happen more overall, but that impacts my land as well because it impacts my driveway, it impacts my neighbor, Dan, who's not here, it affects his driveway with the culverts that go across. So I'm concerned about any downhill development that's going to be there, putting more silt into the already overwhelmed culverts.
And I guess, how can I respond? I'd just like to say that, again, that's a speculative concern. And he just said he doesn't know if that's going to happen or not, so.
100% speculative. Yep, agree with you.
any questions?
One more question, you think, thanks.
I know that my driveway runs down into my culverts, so. Yeah.
Chris, do you have any? No? Anyone online? I see no hands. Next one. Okay. Transportation. Criteria 5 provides that before granting a permit, the board or district commission shall find that the subdivision or development will not cause unreasonable congestion or unsafe conditions with respect to the use of highways, waterways, railways, airports, and airways, and other means of transportation existing or proposed, 10 VSA 6086A5. Tyler.
So I applied and was granted a driveway access permit from the town of Jamaica. So they confirmed of all of the, line of sight, issues, so they agree that that's a allowable location for a new driveway, slightly, this way, is it north, slightly north of the existing location. I will provide parking for the guests on the property. So this would not increase any of the, parking on the road there, which is a major concern already. So my guests would park, on the property next to their cabin. There'll be ample space for, emergency vehicles to access. Because it's 3 cabins, there won't be, unreasonable traffic created, by this development.
How many cars per cabin?
Should be 2 cars per cabin.
So you'll be building a total of 6 sites for parking.
Right, just next
that
to
are
the,
off the driveway.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
So parking is pretty tight on Pleasant Falls Road. How do you keep people from parking in there?
Well, I can't control what they do, but I would provide parking for the guests at the site. So if it's a busy summer day, there won't be parking on the road, so they would need to park at their site, at the cabin. So on my property.
Do people currently, does anyone know, do people currently park on the access road to the cemetery?
They do. Yep.
Yeah.
Illegally, that's Tyler's land. They
Yeah.
couldn't be parking there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They pull all the way back, right where the entrance to the cemetery is, and then they go down that thing over there.
Okay, and Chris, do you have any questions about that?
Just
I'm
the,
sorry.
yeah, no, that's fine. Just the statement and, if you will, you guys probably didn't see it today, but that area, especially in the summer, is already overwhelmed with extreme traffic, extreme parking issues. This brings in I don't think a lot of people are gonna have 2 cars, but that's, but this already brings in 3 to 6 more cars on a semi-permanent basis. And while they do have dedicated parking spots, speculative, you can't force them to park there.
That can I respond to? So, and as I mentioned in my introduction, I do think that, I'm open to this piece of land, if the town wanted to purchase it from me, could be a great way to reduce this problem at Pikes Falls, that they could create a parking area on this piece of land, instead of this development. So I just wanted to note that as a possibility for, addressing everyone's concerns.
I would love to go on the record and support Tyler's idea. It would be awesome if the state would buy the land, the town would buy the land, and we would turn it into something that's going to be useful for Pikes Falls and the tourism that it brings in. More people going back to the cemetery to enjoy that, more places to park that are going to be safe for people to walk down to the cemetery. That is the best possible outcome we can have.
Okay,
Want to buy it?
I anticipate the select board will take up that question at its next meeting, so you should attend.
I would love to. I'll make it a point to be there.
any other questions on 5? What's that? Anyone online? Any questions on 5, on transportation? No?
Could I,
Yeah, please.
do you know what the date of that next hearing would be, just for our hearing purposes? If you don't, that's fine.
They meet the first and third Mondays of the month. I don't have the date.
What's the third Monday? I think it's this coming Monday, isn't it?
Yeah, yes.
Steve?
First, second. Yeah, it'll be the 18th. See you there.
Monday.
You should check the town website
Yeah.
for the agenda.
I will.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sorry, I have one other thing to add on that criteria. Also, Wayne probably knows this better than I do, but I had to submit the town, I believe, had to submit the questionnaire about will any of this development cause undue, burden on the town services or traffic, et cetera, and they agreed that it won't. Right, with the town?
Yeah, he's referring to the municipal impact.
Yes.
Fee application.
Thank you.
Is there a limit to what type of vehicle can be parked there?
Just a regular passenger car, is what I intend, be big enough for a pickup truck. But
No trailers, no
no, I'm not-
ATVs?
no.
Okay, I have one more question.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, please.
So Tyler, you spoke to the driveway permit you received previously. My recollection is that permit was received, before the campsite proposal. But it was still, you thought maybe you could do the single family home without the ADU. And so that permit, it's a little hard to read, but, it's indicated circle as being a residential driveway permit. And so I'm wondering if you, and the permit itself says it doesn't expire, but if you touched base with the town again to confirm that that permit still, valid for the current proposal.
I have not. It's in the same location.
Yeah.
I knew it didn't expire, so I didn't think I needed to amend it, but, I can check with them if you would like.
It was just something I noticed
Yeah.
going through the documents again, so it might be something helpful to do.
So this permit was for when you. Was a single family home.
That's right, yeah, and so, I didn't reapply because I didn't change the location of the driveway.
Probably to.
Okay. I mean, that was for a 3-bedroom home, and this is for a three bedrooms as well, so there's no difference in impact that I can see, but I don't want to speak for the town.
The town may say it's still valid, it's just.
Yeah.
Okay. That was 5, right? And 8. Straight to the 8. Okay. 8, criteria 8, aesthetics, we'll start there. Under criterion 8, before issuing a permit, the commission must find the proposed project will not have an undue adverse effect on the scenic or natural beauty of the area, aesthetics, historic sites, or rare or irreplaceable natural areas. 10 VSA 608688.
That was criteria 8.
Yes,
Okay.
so Tyler, you can start us off.
Sure.
And if I could just to clarify this, conversation around 8 is going to be specific to aesthetics, and then the commission is going to do another section specific to the historic sites.
Thank
So
you.
it's under the same criteria, but we're just having those
Aesthetics.
two conversations.
So we're just, you want me to just speak about the aesthetics right now? Okay.
Yes.
So I designed these cabins, or I chose these cabins to be in line with, consistent with the construction of other, houses in the area. There are other A-frames. There's other modern designs that you may have noticed on your drive from the site down here. So the metal roof and wood siding is consistent with other homes in the area. They will not, it's 1 story, so they won't, impact any views or obstruct any views. The electric would be buried from the line, from the pole. The replanting plan is natural, Vermont trees and shrubs. Then there would be grass as well, and the natural vegetation, the plants native to Vermont. Downlit lighting attached to the building, so to not affect the beautiful night sky there, minimize the effect. No signs proposed at this time. Yeah.
There will be a permit condition, if I have anything to say about it, if we issue a permit, that will say no,
Okay.
because you haven't applied for one.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
And the other question I have is, how many square feet of these buildings?
Let's see. I don't have that information in front of me. But it's on it. I can, if you give me a minute, I can look that up, but I know it's on the order of 150 square feet or so. Yeah.
200.
Yes.
Just a clarification on signs, was there comment about signage for the wetlands? Or just,
Yes. So that So, sorry, I meant, when I said no signs, no roadside sign is what I meant, but you're right, there is, A&R Wetlands, Rebecca Chalmers, wanted to have signage, delineating the wetland. So there will be that, yeah.
Yeah, so I really like the design of the cabins, to be honest with you. I think they look cool. I would like to see those on the side of the road. What it comes down to, when we talk about aesthetics, we're talking about a porta potty and a dumpster in front of the waterfall and the cemetery. If that's not the definition of unaesthetic, I really don't know what it is. So.
Design is 107 square feet.
There you go. Thank you.
Pretty cool. I would put one in my backyard. Absolutely.
And then can I respond to that as well? So again, I think I have an incentive to place the dumpster and the porta potty in a way that's obstructed, with natural vegetation, picking out the best spot for that. So I have an incentive for that too, to make sure the land was good for my guests. So I just wanted to note that.
Chris, do you have any?
No.
Any questions online? We have a hand up?
Yeah, I have one. Is how visible is the, what? Oh, can you hear me?
I can, I just wanted you to identify yourself because I can't see it.
Oh, sorry. Alyssa Sabato with the Wyndham Regional Commission.
Thank you.
Yeah. How visible is this, the infrastructure you're talking about, the cabins, the dumpster, the porta potty? How visible is that from Jamaica Falls? From the recreational resource that the public accesses?
It's not visible from the falls at all. The falls are not at all. There's some natural vegetation along the road that I would not disturb, so it'll be slightly obscured from the road. But you'll likely be able to see the development from the road. And like I said, in terms of the porta potty placements and the dumpster placements, that's also going to depend on the replanting plan, so it'll take some time to obscure that portion of the property. You'll be able to see down the old road until that's replanted. But I'd say, to answer your question, it'll be partially obscured from the road and we'll not be able to see it from the falls.
Okay. I mean, in terms of limiting the visibility of like the dumpster and the porta potty, would you be willing to put up like 6-foot fencing on 3 sides kind of thing to make it look better?
Well, I would prefer to place it in an area that has natural vegetation obscuring it. But if I'm not able to do that, I would consider that. Again, it's in my best interest to not have my store like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my standpoint is I just wouldn't want you to put the benefit of your guests above the benefit of the public in terms of visibility, from a regional resource such as Jamaica Falls or the cemetery. And I mean, yeah, I guess I can save the other thing, but I'm just curious about how guests would be accessing the falls. Will they be like traversing through the woods from the cabins to the falls?
So
I can save that question though if the commission wants.
Should I respond?
Should that is under which criteria? Does that fit this criteria or?
It's okay. It's fine.
I think we can hear it and we can determine if it ends up being political.
Okay.
I think we just did.
Go right ahead, Alyssa. Oh, you,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, Tyler. Thank you.
To answer your question, Alyssa, there's an existing path through the 50-foot buffer that predated my time. And so that would have to be, that would be replanted, so they wouldn't be accessing the falls through the buffer. They would walk on the road and access the falls, from, as the general public does.
You can find that on local town maps as a historic work road. That's the one that we walked over that had all the fallen trees on it. It's usually clearer than that. And I would say, I think we said this morning, it's about 50-50 right now, which side people go from. But if Tyler's in the position to block access from the cemetery going down, they'll stop going that way, but there's still gonna need to be access to the cemetery.
Okay. Okay, so it's not, you don't consider it to be like shortcuts would be taken through the woods and that's not something that's gonna happen for this
No,
development?
the only, interruption in the 50-foot buffer is the access to the cemetery for the town. So currently there is a shortcut, but that's not, again, that predates my time and that's not authorized and we're not gonna continue that.
Okay, I mean, I just think short-term renters, when you're not there, I mean, they're gonna do whatever they wanna do. I mean, it's, you know, but,
Access to the falls, let's say, is pretty well,
okay,
they're more than trails. I mean, you would look at it and say, this is how I get there.
Yeah.
Here's a trail, here's a trail.
It's a log road on a map. If you look at the town maps, that specific entrance that we took to go down, the other entrance in question that we're talking about is when we walked back to the cemetery all the way, there was another zigzag through the woods that went down the back way. And I think what Tyler wants to do is eliminate that access while still maintaining the road access back to the cemetery.
okay. And if that makes sense to everyone, that's fine. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be at the site this morning, but, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I will say in terms of dumpsters and porta potties, there's a chance, you won't be able to see them from the vaults because you're so far down. Like you look uphill, you're not gonna see them. You're not gonna see the buildings, anything like that. If you go back to that cemetery, I don't think there's a way around seeing it. You're gonna have to because it's on the access road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And again, the cemetery access, there's actually no easement for that we could find with the town, so it's just sort of a favor I'm doing to the town that I want to continue doing to the town. So,
My guess is the access has been through that property for more than a few years.
yes. He said more than 10, he was here 10 years ago, it was there.
I'm guessing 150. The cemetery's been there that long.
Yeah.
But again, that cemetery's in the back of a former very large parcel that's been cut up. So speculative, again, no way of knowing, but that is the understood access to that cemetery and where the main gate to the cemetery exists.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't remember the specific case, but there was an Act 250 case that established the buffer zone between that property and falls. It's ancient history now, but the issue of an access road was never addressed at that time. The town has been using the straight shot from the road, which is the current access, but which is unauthorized. So to continue using it would require a Rule 3040 review by the NRB. And so we declined to do that for case 2W0265-1. But the current status is that road is unauthorized, but in use. And I imagine our town road crew are the culprits for putting gravel on it.
I can't imagine anyone did it out of the goodness of their heart. It's expensive. I didn't know.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Any other questions, comments on aesthetics?
No, man.
Okay. Historic sites. With respect to historic sites, also part of criterion B, 8, I'm sorry. And specifically, those historic sites that have been determined to exist as a result of archaeological sensitivity, criteria 8 requires that before granting a permit, The commission shall find that the proposed project will not have an undue adverse effect on the scenic or natural beauty of the area, aesthetics, historic sites in the specific or rare or replaceable natural areas, 10 VSA 6086A8. So we're talking about the historic cemetery in this part.
This is criterion 8.
Yes.
Which-
So we broke it up, we talked about aesthetics and now
Yeah,
we did overlap into the cemetery a little bit.
right.
But if there's any other specific historical parts of the cemetery process we need to discuss.
Right, Quinn, maybe you can help me remember, but we got a letter from, was it from Yvonne? Yeah, okay, so maybe Yvonne can speak to the letter, but we received a letter from her, about the cemetery, and my understanding is that all the proposed use is, allowable and not going to impact the cemetery. I'll also say that the 50-foot Act 250 buffer also includes 50 feet away from the cemetery. I noticed that in a site visit when I was waving my arms like this. So it extends on the southern portion and then up by the cemetery and then again on the southern portion. So the cemetery has a 50-foot buffer around it.
Any questions?
Yeah. This is Yvonne Benny Basque, historic preservation specialist for the state. So basically, because of the buffer, we asked for a buffer, especially around cemeteries, and partly because, view shed, but also because cemeteries don't always stay inside their walls. So, we like to see a bit of a buffer around them. There is an effect, but we would consider this not an not undue effect. There are other potential archaeologically sensitive areas within that parcel, but on balance, we're avoiding the areas that are most sensitive. And so we felt that this was a decent compromise and that we didn't have any further issues with it.
Any
Thank
questions
you.
on that? Thank you.
Thanks.
Chris? No? Okay.
I'll restate what I said in the last one. I don't believe any of those people, when they signed up to be buried in that cemetery, thought that their loved ones would be passing porta potties and garbage dumps on the way back to visit their friends.
Right. Okay. Next criteria. Discuss. Criteria 8A.
9K.
Oh. It's 8A, didn't we? Okay, hold on.
9K.
Thank you. 9.
Yes.
1 was 9.
Looking, yes.
Thank you. A 9K. A permit shall be granted for, this is public investments. A permit shall be granted for the development adjacent to governmental and public utility facilities, services, and lands, including but not limited to highways, airports, waste disposal facilities, office and maintenance buildings, fire and police stations, university, schools, hospitals, prisons, jails, electric generating and transmission facilities, oil and pipe gas lines, parks, hiking trails, and forest and game lands, when it is demonstrated that the development will not unnecessarily or unreasonably endanger the public or quasi-public investment in the facility, service, or lands, or materially jeopardize or interfere with the function, efficacy, or safety of, or the public's use or enjoyment of the access to the facility or service or lands. Okay.
So,
Sorry, maybe just to help bring the discussion to the commission, mind stating what they consider public investments for the property. I mean, you can touch on additional things, but if those are the conversational.
Yeah.
Sure, thank you. Pike Falls Road is a class 2 town highway. Highways are considered a public investment. The cemetery adjacent to the subject property may also be considered a public investment. We talked about the existing 50-foot buffer along the southern border, bordering Pike Falls, was included as part of the original permit. issued in 1975 at the recommendation of the Conservation Society of Southern Vermont. Shall I continue with the exhibits?
I think that's sufficient.
What's that?
I think that's sufficient.
Okay, good.
Just to bring the discussion a
Great.
little bit.
So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about public investment.
Right.
Okay, is that clear? Help clarify?
Yes, so the road, the cemetery and Pike Falls. So the road, again, got the town highway permit, which, we'll check with them and make sure it's still valid. So, and the municipal impact study. So the town and I are in agreement that there won't be any, endangerment of that public investment. The cemetery, I am I'm continuing the right of way for ingress and egress to the cemetery to the town. They're allowed to access it, relatives will be allowed to access it. The town can mow back there, bring their mowers back there, et cetera. So I'm preserving their access, albeit with the new road that's in compliance with the Act 250 buffer. So I don't believe that will be endangered at all. And we're, as Yvonne said, we have the buffer around the cemetery as well. So there's no risk that I see of any endangerment of that public investment. And then Pikes Falls as well. We have the 50-foot buffer by Pikes Falls, and we already discussed the wastewater and the trash plan to not impact Pikes Falls with any of that. So again, my guests will have parking provided to them, so we won't. My guests won't add to the parking issue at the falls. So yeah.
Other question, does the existing deed, indicate a easement or right of way for the cemetery? The gentleman from the planning commission seemed to think that currently there wasn't one and that they're trespassing on your property at this point.
Yeah,
Then would you be modifying your deed to include that, as part of this project?
so we couldn't find any easement in any current or previous deed, and the town couldn't find one either. We haven't discussed creating an easement. I'm just promising in my application to preserve access for the town.
Documents of easements in Vermont, in my experience, have been hard to come by. I've requested the one for the power lines to go across both of my properties and Tyler's several times to no avail.
Yeah.
And gotten, frankly, some rather rude feedback when I asked for it from the utility company. So.
Can I ask a clarifying question on that?
Yes, you may.
So my recollection is we had looked at some deed language that speaks to a right of way very generally, but not the actual easement. So is that what you're operating off of right now, or how is that language being considered?
I don't recall that. I just recall the conversation with my attorney saying that there is no easement. So, which is what you would need to have permanent access. So I'm just promising to continue the access that's been happening. Whether it was promised at some point or in a less enforceable way. I'm not planning to revoke that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it was probably back in 2023 that, so it might have, I think, misremembered. So thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Yes.
It just happened is accurate. The case I talked about earlier just created the buffer zone. The town created that road by just driving their truck the shortest distance from the road to the cemetery. And over the years, ruts were created and basically gravel was added, I guess. But there is no easement in 2W0265-1. The town agreed that we didn't want to keep it. We would establish another route different from the one in the current permit. But, so it's an awkward situation, but there is no easement.
If there's a right of way, that exists until the property owner decides to rescind that right of way, correct?
Well, the property owner is required to provide access to the cemetery.
Okay,
They can put wherever you want.
in one way or another, okay.
And so, sorry, just for clarifying this, so that requirement is in a deed somewhere, I believe, correct? When you say the landowner is required to provide access, where is that? Or is that
I
stated?
can't cite the law, but I'm sure there's a law that says, the property owner is required to provide access to historic cemeteries for purposes of maintenance.
Okay, so you're talking generally, not a specific.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And, but it can be wherever he wants, I guess.
Okay, that's 9K, so I know we did hear a bit from you, David. Is there anything else on 9K?
Nope.
Okay. No other comments or questions? Yep, and going to online, any question, any hand or anything online? Stephanie, I can't see the hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay, as
No,
long as there's nobody there, good, that's all that matters. And Chris, any other comments on that? Right, then we will move to criterion 10, local and regional plans. Criterion 10 requires that a project must be in conformance with any duly adopted local or regional plan, 10 VSA 6086A10. Would it help to continue the case on there and just hear that presentation?
And I think you can just move forward with that.
Okay, all right. So criteria 10, Tyler.
Okay. So I think the relevant plans are the Wyndham Regional Plan and the Jamaica Town Plan. And so I spoke to the Wyndham Regional Plan in my application, and I can speak to the town plan as well because they're similar citations. So there's some language in the plan that's aspirational, and then there's some that's required, and I tried to meet all of them. So in order to sustain Jamaica's rural and scenic character, landscapes must be preserved. And so again, we spoke to the scenic character and trying to design the cabins in such a way that fit into the rural landscape and the other residences around, albeit smaller. And also, again, the measures I've done to make sure that no leakage or spill off comes down from the porta potties and the protections that are in place to prevent that from happening, both with the law and with the authorized service providers for the trash and the porta potty. Require appropriate site planning and landscape design by siting structures to fit into the natural characteristics of the land and maintaining vegetative buffers along roads and parcel boundaries. There's a whole plan for replanting, so adding vegetative buffers with native Vermont plants. And like I mentioned before, there's already vegetation along the road that we can remain in place for this project. Reducing light pollution is another one that I was conscious of. So to not trespass onto adjacent properties, no spotlights on David's properties, downward pointing lights to not impact the night sky. Jamaica, lands adjacent to existing public land, shall be used in a manner that will not diminish the value of such investments or interfere with their intended use. Again, in the last point, I discussed that about, I will provide parking, so there won't be, additional parking on the road. I'm putting in the protections to prevent any leakage or spillage to the falls, et cetera. I'm just speaking to specific, sort of topics in the plans that seemed relevant, that have been made relevant or been brought up. So the Jamaica Town Plan about other developed areas around, Pikes Falls, see here, areas should be used for residential, commercial, recreational, or open space as long as they relate to the primary residential character of the area. So again, I designed cabins that fit in with some of the architecture around here. There's other A-frames, there's other modern designs. There are a number of one-bedroom short-term rentals in the area. There are 40 within, I did some research on this, there's 40 within 10 miles of this site. There's 22 within 5 miles, and there's 2 within a half a mile. There are glamping, there's ones described as glamping, some are unique contemporary home, tiny house, off-grid cabin, cottage. There's composting toilets, there's water systems with hand pumps, tiny house on wheels, modern mini cabin. So I do believe that this development relates to the other developments in the area and is in line with the town plan in that way. I know Chris brought up the buildings are encouraged to have shared septic systems or wells. And that's just an encouragement. And I'm doing what I can to develop this property without a septic system because of the lack of room. So those are the main adherences to the plan that I identified, and I'm happy to speak to any other ones that they bring up.
Any new questions? No? Chris?
Thank you. Criteria 10 requires that a project must be in conformance with any duly adopted local or regional plan. Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 6086A10. I can cite 3 cases in case law that have reinforced this, or I can skip it. But it has been settled in several cases. We contend that the draft permit 2W0265-2 does not conform to 3 specific elements of the town plan land use plan, chapter 3, pages 7 to 14 as follows. Number 1, the adjacent property, the Pikes Falls waterfall and swimming hole, is designated as an area of special interest by the town plan. Areas of special interest are areas with special natural and cultural resources that contribute to Jamaica's rural character and are specifically designated on maps, including the proposed land use special sites and area map. The town plan's land use requires its preservation in order to sustain, and I'm quoting again, in order to sustain Jamaica's rural scenic character, these landscapes must be preserved. End quote. Runoff from leakage or spillage downhill into the falls from porta potties that the application requests, particularly from thawing, contaminated snow, or heavy rainfall, poses a biohazard to the fall. Permanent siting of porta potties on this property is not in conformance with the plan's requirement to protect this area of special interest. 2, the permanent location of porta potties on land bordering the Pikes Falls public swimming area is not in conformance with the town plan's land use policy number 6. I'm quoting, lands adjacent to existing public land or planned public facilities shall be used in a manner that does not diminish the value of such investments or interfere with their intended use, end quote. Even if theoretically protected by a 50-foot wide vegetation buffer, out of abundance of caution, a leak, spill, or reasonable cause to believe that ground contamination has occurred will require closure of the swimming hole and monitoring until it can be ascertained that no contamination has occurred, thereby interfering with the public swimming hole's intended use. A condition for approving the previous permit application for this property, which was case 2W0265-1, was that a state-approved septic system be installed, which precluded this possibility. And I'm referring to Environmental Protection Rules, Chapter 1, Wastewater System and Potable Water Supply Rules, effective November 6, 2023, Subchapter 3, Wastewater System and Potable Water Supply Permits, Section 1-3014. Which is a mouthful, so hereinafter referred to as 1-3014. This requirement should not be relaxed for this iteration of the permit. The town plan designates high schools neighborhoods developed areas. Other developed areas are located on high schools close to neighborhoods. Every primary structure in the high school neighborhood is single living use club, either for permanent residents or long-time vacation homes and tiny houses being accepted. Every property is subject to Rule 1301-4. The permit 2W0265-2 is for a extended campsite without septic system or plumbing water source that is to be occupied on a transient basis. Residential area section of town plan requirements new development related to primary residential character of the area. These areas, unquote, these areas should be developed for residential, commercial, recreational, or open space uses as long as they relate to the primary residential character of the area. Transient campsite without wastewater protection required by Rule 1304, which applies to every other property in the Pike Falls area. There is no relationship to the surrounding neighborhood, therefore it's unconforming to town plan. Mega believes that the provisions of the town plan are specific and mandatory and therefore apply to the project without any reference to the zoning regulations. They refer to a specific site or developed area identified in the town plan. They're intended to guide land use of the site within the area intended, and they are sufficiently clear to guide the conduct of an average person using common sense to understand. And there's another case law that. Therefore, the draft permit 2W0265 must be denied based on not being in conformance with from a town plan adopted in January 10, 2022. I have something else to add, which you might consider gratuitous. This section of discussion, but it goes along with its offer to put on a They as well recognize that the discovery of wetlands on the subject property and the route of the access plans to the adjacent cemetery limit the economic viable use. Common sense solution could be to move the cemetery access route back to its original, albeit unauthorized locations in the 50-foot buffer. This would trigger a Stone Hills Club NRD Rule 34E review, but we believe such a review would not find any actual negative environmental impact from leaving the existing pad in place. The added time and expense of the review would make it possible area lot for a normal single living unit building project, conform to criteria 10 and from Jamaica Town Plan is that final.
I respond to that. Yeah, thank you for your comments. And again, I certainly am empathetic to the town's position. And I think I just want to address a few things that you mentioned there. Again, this speculative concern of porta potties leaking. I haven't seen that concern substantiated today. I don't know where that concern is coming from. Because again, the town is protected by the law, and I am using a state certified provider. Also, you mentioned that septic system is required. It's not. I had a phone call with Jeff Sivek at the Vermont wastewater agency or A&R. And I took contemporaneous notes on that phone call that I emailed to Jeff. He confirmed the wastewater rules have a lot of exceptions. And so you're not required to have a septic system for 3 or 4 campsites. And the cabin is defined as a campsite without any water. So his opinion and my opinion is that this project is in conformance with their rules, and they had every opportunity to object. As this application was sent to Agency of Natural Resources, and they did not object. And I do have a copy of that email to Jeff Speck back in February of this year. So I just mentioned that because he said that it is required, but it's not in this case. Yeah, and so I think I've spoken to all the other concerns he brought up.
Any questions on?
Right?
Yeah.
It's true that the definition of a containment campsite is the campsite without the septic or bottom of water. But we're not arguing about that. We're contending that that doesn't belong in a consolidated residential neighborhood. We're also contending that in that neighborhood, 1314 applying that other property. Yes, and why we should be accepted. And that's in addition to the problem proposed for the decree.
So I say one more to that. So I did create a list of some relevant Airbnbs and that full list of the 40 within 10 miles. And there's quite a few that have composting toilets, no water, off-grid. So it is, Jamaica has kind of a hunky town vibe too. And I do think that this is a recreational area that is in line with the residential character of the town. Can I just say,
Hold on. Chris?
Composting toilets don't still, because they could be turned over, but they don't still, constitute, runoff.
I do have a question of your statistics on the rental, short-term rentals. Is that how many are within Jamaica? That is of that.
So I just did a radius around that area, so I can't answer how many were in Jamaica, but I could follow up with you on that. But it was 40. These are just one bedroom. There's more 2 and 3 and 4. So I just counted how many 1 bedroom short-term rentals are, which is comparable to this. again, to show that this isn't, there's a lot of this happening in that area. Right around the corner from the falls in Jamaica is a tiny home on wheels that's walking distance, sort of a non-traditional, type of, stay, unique stay. So there's 2 within a half mile of falls, there's 22 within 5 miles, and there's
Sorry about that.
I did nothing. Okay, then we're good. I think continue.
Elizabeth, can you still hear us? Rebecca, can you still hear us?
I can barely hear, I'll be honest. The sound quality cut out like 5 minutes ago.
Brief recess, everyone. So hold on, I'm gonna turn this all the way down. There we go. Do you want to check the cord on your computer?
Like did this. Do you want me to take it out and put it back in?
No, that's fine. Just make sure it's in
That
there.
sounds better.
No, hold on, Alyssa, try to talk again. If you don't
Okay,
mind.
testing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay.
I don't think I know how to do that.
No, this has happened. This is the 3rd hearing. This has happened that now, I think.
Or you can shut it down and start over again the meeting, or?
It'll create a second recording.
Can you hear me now?
Of course, it's when we need to hear about it.
Always.
Can she still hear us?
Yeah.
Yes, that's.
So what we can do, this won't shut off the meeting. So again, everyone, if you'll just bear with us, I'm gonna unplug the camera completely and shut it down, but you don't leave the meeting, like you keep the meeting going.
Okay.
Maybe if
So
you
I'll do
want,
nothing, right? That's fine.
yeah, you can do nothing.
Wayne,
Yeah.
is she calling for the number?
So the issue is that like anytime someone virtually is talking, it's making that noise. So I think even if she called in, it would still cause that issue because it's like hardware. We will take 3 minutes and try to fix it. And Alyssa, I think you can still hear us, so we just have to take a short break, but stay tuned. So I'm gonna-
You're saying if you put on speaker, it's not gonna be out.
You can still hear us, but there's no camera.
Yeah, she should still be able to hear us.
Just give it a thumbs up or. That's a full comment. What's being taped? Just.
Both.
The visual, so now that's just what's being recorded, the video.
Just the audio.
No, and so that screen is the video currently. Now, we're just another participant, like when the, it's gonna blink for a while.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Is that all right with,
Yeah.
with you guys?
Yeah.
Seems like it's better if I don't touch anything.
You wanna try to talk again for us?
Hello, can you hear me?
I think we got you. I just gotta turn you up again. All right, one more time.
Okay, testing, testing.
All right, I think we're good. One more time, for sure.
Can you hear me good?
All right, we should be good now. Okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay.
Thank you for all. Oh, wait. Is that loud enough?
All
Good job with the
right.
alignment.
Oh, sorry. So listen, on our end, the volume's just quite quiet, so I'm just gonna try to address that. If you wanna try to say something.
Okay. I'm
It's
here,
just
ready to
awful.
go.
Keep talking. Tell
Oh,
me
can
your story.
you see if,
Keep
sorry, now that
talking.
you're there, if your,
Okay.
computer volume is all the way up too?
I think I turned it
Um,
down.
Yeah, that would be. Hold on, sorry, Alyssa. One more minute.
You want all the way up?
Did you, yeah, turn it on. Okay. Alyssa, now go again.
Okay, hello, everyone.
Good.
I heard,
Where were we?
Can I just make one comment before she, I did have a map associated with the list of all the one-bedroom short-term rentals.
Mhm.
And I counted it, there are at least, 10, to 12 in the town of Jamaica specifically, including that tiny house on wheels around the corner, et cetera. So again, I can submit this as evidence, but I do believe that my development is in the nature of the residential area of the town.
Okay. Yes,
This applies to the Pikes Falls residential area, which I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's maybe like contained in a 1 mile radius. So his statistic for half mile probably is applicable, but 5 and 10 is not. I live within 10 miles and I live in the other corner, northeast corner of the town. And my point is that all the buildings there meet the definition of the wastewater rules of a single living unit building. Maybe tiny houses accepted on, I don't know what to say about those. But a dependent campsite is out of place and does not relate to that area.
oh, your question? or-
No.
Go ahead, David.
So it might be a bit repetitive, but when we talk about the town plan, when we talk about the language used within, we talk about preserving the natural landscape, the natural characteristics of the land, and not diminishing the land value. I would pressure anyone in this room to tell me how an open dumpster and a porta potty doesn't negatively impact those three things. There are 4,500 licensed short-term rentals in the Stratton area. All right, that's not just one bedrooms. That's not just in Jamaica. That's Windhall. That's Windham County overall. All right, let that sink in overall. That's how many we have right now. Again, I'm not against a single family dwelling with a septic tank or anything like that, but I'd like to know how many of those, including tiny houses, which probably have a self-contained waste unit within that tiny house, involve sticking a porta potty out on a piece of land. Again, I will be at the town meeting, the next one where we're talking about the other possibility, and that's the town purchasing this. I am all about that. I want to see Tyler be successful with this venture. I want to support that overall. What I will never support is an unmitigated waste removal system that I believe puts all of the surrounding area in danger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I make one more reply. So this part of the town plan in question that we're discussing, I'll read it again, is these areas should be developed for residential, commercial, recreational, or open space, as long as they relate to open numbers. So the key word there is should, This is a very subjective, part of the plan. Our opinions differ. And I think they put the word should there, on purpose because it's not a strict requirement. Um, and therefore there's no zoning in Jamaica, there's no building permit. So I believe I have a right, to make this development. If I think it's human nature, and I'm not even down to that because the language is, aspirational or.
Word should can be understood in four different ways. One is advice, second is obligation, third is expectation, and the fourth is possibility. We believe in the context of language using common sense, way it's used, that you can interpret either as obligation or reasonable expectation based on wastewater rules applied uniformly in both areas.
You're right. Sorry. We noticed that it was making that noise and I was like, maybe it's the air conditioning. And then I was like, I think it's not the air conditioning. I think it's that. So I was like, maybe I'll turn the volume down so that it won't make that noise.
So
Okay,
you turned your
As
volume
far
down.
as the people who wrote the town plan, meant it to be used, I was one of them, and I resented something.
I'm so sorry that we interrupted your statements.
What I said, as far as the people who are concerned about the town plan, I was one of them, and it is obligation.
Thank you.
One more comment, if I may.
Maybe we should hold over comments until we get the recording back.
I think if Quinn gets this working again, Alyssa should go like
Yeah.
immediately, because this has not been reliable. Is that okay?
Yes.
as long as Alyssa's okay.
Okay. So I'm sorry, Alyssa, we're having another problem with the thing. So as soon as Quinn gets it working, because she did before, if you could say, if you don't have comments, that's okay too. But if you have comments, I think you should do them while the thing is working.
Okay.
Oh, she just said okay.
You did, okay, what, do you have?
No, I heard her.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, it's out of my, it's because it's,
Yeah.
okay, unmute.
So
Ready?
it's blinking, it takes a little bit to warm up and you will.
Yes, it would just out of here.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, so Alyssa, you,
Yeah, it went all bad. I can't hear anything now and I can't see you guys.
Because technology wise, let's hear from her and then we'll go directly to you. Thank you.
Can you turn your camera on, Stephanie? Oh, sorry, thank you. Oh, no, just click it. Let me do it now.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, Alyssa, you have comments
You can.
for us?
Oh, okay, great. Okay, should I go?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. So I just have a few things. I mean, like I said before, we haven't discussed this with the project review committee yet. So ultimately, the comments will officially come from them in a letter. So I just wanted to kind of ask a few questions that I think would be helpful to bring back to them. And then obviously I've heard everything. The first thing I want to note is that we have a regional plan newly adopted that will be in effect for the comments that we make. It actually becomes effective September 2nd, so the date of our project review committee meeting. So we'll be using that for comment. It doesn't change like the land use district that this falls in, and most of the policies that are relevant would be similar or the same from the last plan. But there's a couple that I think are relevant in terms of cultural and historic resources and recreational resources. So I don't know necessarily that it's going to be of value to cite those policies, but I did want to question first Tyler, would you be willing to do a composting toilet instead of a porta potty for this project?
I don't know what that requires. I know I'm within the law using the porta potty, so I hesitate to say yes without knowing what I'm getting into.
It might be worth considering. I mean, it seems like that's the biggest concern. I think that would be the biggest concern. One of the biggest from the project review committee likely is just concerns about water quality impacts related to, obviously it's all a potential. It can only be a potential. This is a plan, but, it seems like a reasonable research thing for you to look into to help appease the town and budding landowners. I think a lot of the concerns raised here are very localized, so I don't know that this will necessarily rise to regional significance, but it is abutting Pikes Falls, which could be considered regionally significant, and the historic cemetery. I will say Pikes Falls Road is a highly vulnerable road. It's always getting washed out. Gets cut off regularly during, any type of significant event in 23 and Irene. I mean, it was completely cut off for long amounts of time in multiple areas. So it is vulnerable. It's not to say that they couldn't necessarily find another way out, but there are safety risks there. I think there's also, I'd be curious to see, I mean, I don't know if it has anything to do really with relevance, but maybe the town or property owners nearby would want to see your rental contract to understand like how you're going to be preventing your renters from doing some things that, you're not going to be there. So how, are you going to have rules set in place before they arrive that they're going to be signing up? Where they're, what about wildfire risk is always higher near campsites. So this would create a new wildfire risk in this area. By having, I would assume you would have fire pits available near these campsites. And so maybe sharing a rental contract with the town, ensuring that that is going to work for them in terms of risk mitigation. And how are you going to keep someone from bringing a trailer in? I don't understand, like some of the limitations of the site seem difficult to rule out, that they wouldn't be a possibility. I think the water quality concerns that are raised by the town are legitimate, and I would share that concern with the project review committee. I know it's going to be a potential, but it exists. And yeah, I mean, I guess those are the kind of the issues that I would see that weren't already raised or that I would discuss with the committee as what I'm hearing from this hearing to take to them as things they might want to weigh in on. Again, they may see it not regionally significant, no comment, but they may decide to comment, especially considering the town's position. So I would encourage, any of you to attend this meeting. It's a public meeting and we always invite the town and the applicant. So that's really all I have. I just, you can kind of hear my thinking, but I can't, I don't have official comments until my committee decides what that would be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Tyler, did you want to speak to any of those?
Yes, thank you for your comments, Alyssa. My last comment I wanted to make, after what Christopher said about the language. He said it was the intention to make the word should be, mandatory, but it's also can be used in other ways. And there's other parts of this Jamaica Town plan that use language like shall, must, that's very clear. And so there's case law for when language is vague like that, that it reverts to the landowner. We're trying to follow the town plan, and regardless of intent, the way it's written is not clear that it's mandatory. So I just want to make that point. And then I can respond to some of Alyssa's points as well. I don't understand where the, concern of the porta potty spilling into Pikes Falls is coming from. Septic systems can overflow too. If there was some substantiated evidence that porta potties are, more risky, I think we could be talking about that, but I'm not hearing any of that other than just this, vague concern that's, admittedly speculative. So, I'm following the rules as they're written, and I'm within the rules, of the wastewater rules. And, also in terms of the, she mentioned the road is a, I forget her language, but she said it's prone to what runoffs, et cetera. So my proposed development is actually less excavation than a single family home would be. So in that respect, this is less impact than the other plans that the town said they would be supportive of, and David said he would be supportive of. So, so I want to point that out. If the committee would like me to reply to any other of those, I mean, the fire pits again, and the rental contracts, everyone has to follow the law. I'm a firefighter myself in Cambridge, and I'm aware of burn bans that happen that would prevent campfires from happening. I communicate when there are burn bans in place to my renters that I have up in Cambridge, so I'm used to that. I certainly share that concern, but I would allow people to follow the law and have a campfire if that's their desire. Yeah.
I have a question on your, that it came up. The fire, you have fire rings in your plan, or how are people cooking meals? Is that?
I don't think I have fire rings in the plan. Do you recall that, Quinn, if that was in the plan?
I think it was mentioned. I don't think there was a specific apparatus. that was
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yeah, your update said each camp cabin will have its own fire pit.
Yeah, there you go.
Fires.
Yep.
Thank you.
I have a question. When your rental agreement, will there be a deposit?
Yes, depends on the platform. Airbnb doesn't do a deposit, but they have a, insurance kind of program for any damages. And then other platforms like VRBO do have a deposit built in. So sometimes, yeah.
So there is an avenue for you to recover costs should someone
Yes.
vandalize or leave something unkept or.
Yes, and I have quite a bit of experience with that. It's called air cover for Airbnb. They're pretty, they do a good job of protecting you as the host from any misbehavior of the guest.
My other question for Chris, it has been discussed, and I don't think it was testimony, but my understanding is that on a busy weekend day, Pikes Falls could see upwards of 75 public at the falls at any given time. Is that reasonable?
Yeah.
Consideration. Okay.
We've counted upwards of 50 cars out there before. We called the town about it.
So we use 75 is, I mean, it's probably
Not a lot of
strong
people,
day, you know, so.
not a lot of people arrive solo.
Right.
But yeah, that'd be a high day. That's a large estimation. Yeah.
And, given, my experience at places that don't have facilities, 75 people spending hours at a swimming hole are gonna require defecation at some point. And I would say it's safe to say that right now there are no facilities provided that, my grandsons call it nature heat. And it could get worse, but obviously, there are no facilities and that the contamination of the falls area right now is probably being, more at risk from the public. And just my thoughts, I just wanted to mention.
I have never witnessed anyone pooping in the woods. But obviously they're peeing in the water and it's going down the stream and everything like that. Maybe they're just good at hiding it, but I don't know that that happens often, but it could, absolutely.
I agree with your point, that if the town is concerned about Pikes Falls, which they should, I think they can do more to protect it. And my development is not the imminent threat to Pikes Falls. It is public, in my opinion, as well.
Just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
I just want to touch on Alyssa's point about Pikes Falls Road being at risk. I don't think she's worried about the impact of the erosion on the road overall. She's worried about the impact of the safety of your tenants. In the past 5 years, we've had 300-year storms that have washed out both sides and multiple bridges. You can drive across the bridges and see it for yourself. Last year, I was stranded here for 5 days, couldn't get out, couldn't get food, couldn't get anything. Well-stocked pantry, so it's always good. But that should be taken into consideration as well. I mean, it happens. We didn't lose power, but we lost roads.
Well, I would just say that, rule 1-3014 is pretty specific.
Thank you.
Was there something in the letter that talked about not moving the access road, leaving it in the 50-foot buffer? I just fell asleep.
Yeah, that was kind of a bank shot at Tyler. We were suggesting leaving it where it is. I think part of this problem is he's trying to rescue a bad investment because of the unexpected find of wetland on his property. So the combination of where he's putting the access road to the cemetery and the campsite, and the wetland, excuse me, make the campsite probably the only viable thing he can come up with. Well, if he left the road where it is, it would open up other possibilities. The town wouldn't object. It would require this NRB, still hill clubs review, but I don't think there's any environmental impact that would.
Is that the understanding? Would a single family dwelling, if it weren't for the 50-foot buffer, be possible from what your understanding is?
My understanding is yes, because then I could put the well further away to create the isolation shield. Yeah.
Well, we're just offering something up that the town wish to along.
Yeah, but it was just, it's the Stowe Highlands analysis that it would require. Quinn advised me about that, and it's an uncertain outcome that's expensive and takes a long time. So it's not viable for me at this point.
Just, I need to offer this necessarily, but I'm pretty sure that composting toilets do work on a wastewater permit. It's just, you said, when Alyssa asked about composting toilets, have you considered, I'm pretty sure that a composting toilet is still reviewed by the wastewater program and you get it.
That's why I said I couldn't really answer her question because
I just wanted to.
I don't know.
It's just a little limiting. And just, and you were saying like, you didn't know the difference about porta potties or what people are concerned about. I think that, and I'll probably be talking this, but a composting toilet, because that gets a wastewater permit, or a septic system that doesn't, that gets a wastewater permit, those are permitted, you fall into an exemption, with the porta potties. So that's just a permitting difference. It's a non-review category versus a reviewed category.
Mhm.
And it's not to say that what you're doing is wrong, it meets the rules, it's just like a general point. There's another level of review then that happens by the experts in that field. That's just a comment on, I think, the difference between exceptions and permitting and people's level of comfort.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to follow the rules in a way that works for me and is, so Yeah.
Any other questions? All set? No questions on it? Okay, I think we've heard a great deal of good information. We're gonna recess now. Thank you all for your participation. The commission will consider all of the evidence and testimony presented today. Next, the commission will issue a hearing recess order, which keeps the record open for a time. Typically, a hearing recess order asks the applicant and sometimes other parties to submit supplemental information in response to questions that were raised today and allow parties an opportunity to respond to those supplemental findings. Once the process is complete, the commission will consider the record to be final. Once we have all of the supplemental information that we need, we will deliberate and issue our decision as quickly as possible. If there are no further comments, the hearing is now in recess. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah, thank you all.
So
Bye-bye.
I might have missed the deliberation. How long is it until you state what the next steps are?